And I know I've been dropping the ball on this, but I've got a dad joke ready. I'm armed with a dad joke. I'm like, yeah,
I have 2 dad jokes too. I have 2 of them.
I
have 2.
See, check it out. There we go.
Oh yeah,
I got 2 pretty good ones, I think.
Oh, dude, I can't see Sean. Where is he?
Can anybody see me?
I see you.
What's up, Sean?
Okay. Oh, what's up?
Not much, man. How are you?
Good. I feel like it's been a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like you got a nice little tan going. Drinking a little protein shake.
I am, yeah. Yeah, my tan's hanging out a little bit. I was outside all day yesterday, so gotta keep that tan going for this summer.
Would you say it's a protein shake or a protein shake? Because there's obviously a big difference. Which one is it?
It's definitely a little bit of both. I have two tubs. I took a scoop from one and a scoop from the other, so it's.
DeMarco, I don't think you can cut this stuff out. This needs to be on there. This is prime footage right here.
Oh, this is premium content. Are you kidding me right now?
That's what I figured.
This will be good. So just want to forewarn you guys. I've got Vivi. She's in the swing right now. She's chilling. In about a half hour, she's going to be hungry, and then Lauren will be feeding her soon. So she'll probably fuss at some point, but I will deal with it accordingly. I'm on the bouncing ball already, so I'm ready. I'm ready for
ready to go.
So that's how I.
Alrighty.
Hey, Sean, are you equipped with a dad joke as well? Because I feel like me and DeMarco are.
Oh, I'm very well equipped. Thank you for asking.
I love this. All 3 of us. Hopefully, Tommy is too.
Should we start with one?
Absolutely. I think we should all start with one.
Let's do it.
All right. I'm gonna hold on to one because it's a little bit of a deep dive, and I want Tommy to be here for it.
Okay.
But I'll do the other one. Why should you knock on the fridge before you open it?
Refrigerator. I don't know.
Because there might be a salad dressing.
God.
That's really good. What you got, Eric?
What's Forrest Gump's password?
I know this one, so let me know if you want me to say it.
Forrest Gump's password. Lieutenant Dan, I don't know. I can't think of it.
It's one Forrest.
One Forrest, one.
I love that. That's great.
Like that one?
That is my favorite.
Dan, I feel like this is going to be a lame follow-up, but what's a tornado's favorite party game?
Twister?
You son of a bitch.
Oh, you done it right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually haven't heard that one.
There we go. That's awesome. All right, fellas. Well, it's 11:03, so let's. Ooh, Tommy. Ooh, he's lucky.
We'll see if Tommy's got one.
Might as well start it off.
Boom. All right.
Tommy.
What's up, man?
I don't know if I can hear us yet.
Here's it. Nothing.
Connecting to audio.
There we go. Boom.
There he is.
Tommy, dad joke, go.
Oh, no.
I missed that. I plugged in my headphones. What?
Okay. Dad joke, boom, go.
Shut up. Oh, man. I got nothing. I'll have to come back to me on that one.
We'll give you a chance.
We'll come back to him.
You got the whole hour.
Want to thank all of you so much for being here for, I believe this is episode number 10 with the Deadlifts, Dogs, and Dad Jokes podcast. So my name's DeMarco. We've obviously got Mr. Sean Bryan, Eric Chichu, and Tommy Brogan here. And we're super pumped. We're going to talk about coaching values and principles. This is something I love talking about. I don't think we've talked about this on at least 3 or 4 episodes, and I don't think we can ever talk about it too much. I think it's very important for building culture and reinforcing those things that we believe in, because that's something that unites us together. So I think it's really, really important. So Eric took a bunch of notes when we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I know he's foaming at the mouth. He sent me a GIF of MJ in the finals. You're fired up. So Eric, take over right now, my man.
Yeah. So I know we had all kind of talked about this. We wanted to do our values as a coach, our voices as a coach. And I think I'll start us off, and you guys can sort of chime in. So I think, the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of my value as a coach is investing in myself. And I think that will parallel to everything that will help out others. So if you're, I always say, like, find good recipes. And what I mean by recipes is good structure or from other coaches, and try to utilize that for yourself. So, you want to emulate sort of some things you learn from others. I always think, like, soak up as much as you can from other coaches, and then you can utilize that for yourself, and obviously spice it the way the way your values align. So I think that's number one, honestly. So starting that off, and I would say there's a lot of good recipes, quote unquote. I actually took some notes on this. There's a lot of approaches now with social media. You can really dive into and see a lot of them. So, I mean, I'll make this list kind of short, but there's, everyone from, you have your nutrition. So something like John Berardi would be good for that, if you want to learn more about that. Mobility could be like someone like Kelly Strayette or Andrea Spina, I believe their name is. Eric Cressy for shoulder stuff. Mike Boyle, functional stuff. Charlie Weingroff, physical therapy. Brett Contreras, like, he's known as the glute guy. Stuart McGill, back related. Joel Jameson, conditioning. List goes on. But basically, you find these type of coaches, and if there's a certain niche that you want to eventually gravitate towards, you can. But I think in the beginning, it's investing in yourself in general and just building experience. And then once you build that experience, you could have a recipes that you would sort of follow and stick to. That would be number one. And then I think with that is also kind of parallels with setting a standard. How you want to have standards. So that could be standards that you have for yourself. Make sure that you're staying healthy and you're staying fit and things like that, because that's only going to make you a better coach. Or in any industry, just making sure you're practicing what you preach. That's going to parallel, and that's going to rub off of others. So make sure that you're doing those kind of things. And then setting expectations right off the bat. So, when I think of myself as the value of myself as a coach is being able to resonate that right away, like my values and things like that. So, the more they understand that, the standards you're putting in and stuff like that, that's only going to make things better, long term. So they know you're putting the work in and you're striving to be better. So they're going to do the same. So, as they would say in general, you don't want to be the coach that is overweight, or the coach that just, is telling you to do all these things, but they're not practicing what they preach. So I think you have to go through the fire a little bit. And that would be, like I said, kind of a starting point. And I don't want to ramble too much. I'll let some other people take over, but I think it starts with that, and setting a good example and as a leader and stuff like that, and then things will sort of fall into place over time. And like I said, have you guys ever read the book 7 Keys to Being a Great Coach? Alistair McCaw?
No, I haven't.
I highly recommend that. He talks about, yeah, write that down. So 7 Keys to Being a Great Coach. He talks about starting with standards. So you should have standards for yourself and for your clients or whatever, your colleagues. You should have standards, personal standards, and you should have like organizational standards too. So everything sort of like parallels with each other. So I started with investing in yourself, and that kind of would be paralleling with that as well. Because if you're investing in yourself, that could be a way, just by educating yourself and reading and learning more. Outside of, obviously, if you're new, it becomes first get experience and internships and learn and things like that. And then you can gravitate into more in depth of, seminars and investing in yourself or whatever it is for your profession. So that's my start. I can go off of that too, but I don't want to ramble too much.
That's awesome. We'll let Sean go next, but I want to ask really quick, Eric, what was the author's name again? I just want to make sure I write that down. So 7 Keys to Being a Great Coach.
Yeah. Alistair McCaw. I don't want to butcher the spelling of his name, but
McCaw. I'm sure a Google search will make it easy. Awesome.
Yep.
Thanks. I'm definitely going to get that. That's
yeah, there you go. Yep.
Oh, dude's exactly. Got it.
No surprise there.
Nice.
There you go.
It's a nasty logo too. I like that.
Hell yeah,
Tommy, you agree with me? Did you hear a lot of my stuff I was saying? I know you got up for a second, but
From what I did hear, yeah, absolutely. If I had to say the same thing, it would have been very similar to what you said, rambling and all.
Yeah, yeah. The rambling was going to happen. I knew it. There's no way out.
It's what we do. Deadlifts, dogs, dad jokes, and a bunch of rambling.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Sean, take over, man.
Yeah, so I feel like I kind of like you said, we've talked about a lot of this stuff before, and I suppose you can't really whittle it down to too much as far as like you can pretty much have multiple episodes on it. But just I feel like I had something I wanted to say, and then Eric said something, and then my mind went that way, so I'm just gonna roll with that for a little bit, and then I'm sure at least one other thing I had, like written down prior, it will come back to me. But like Eric had said, like something that made me think, like, don't give a program to a client that you wouldn't do yourself. Granted, goals and stuff are different, but like if you were in a similar situation as them, like, would you trust this own program? You know what I mean? And so I think that's a big thing, because I say to a lot of clients sometimes, like I beta test certain things. Like, for example, if I'm writing up a whole new program for somebody, I may try out like a set or two myself just to make sure it makes sense. I know obviously I'm in a different position than they are, or in vice versa, just client to client. But like in theory, like if you don't like the way an exercise feels, or just like if you don't see the benefit to it, like it may sound good on paper, but for you to try it after the fact and be like, okay, yeah, I definitely see this as something they can progress on week to week, then great, move forward with it. That's just what I do personally. I like to kind of, like I said, try out certain things if I've never done it with a client before. If I have a certain idea and it's like I've never ever given it to anybody, let me try myself first. And if it's like I said, if I don't see the benefit to it, or if it just doesn't work out the way I thought it would, I'll scrap it, or maybe, put on the back burner, come back to it down the road, that kind of thing. But, and then the other thing to go off of that is, as far as like my values go, definitely, we all lead busy lives, and just, stuff gets in the way. We're all human, but like check whatever issues you have at the door as soon as that hour starts, or even before that, obviously, because if you're off your game, they'll probably notice, and, they're paying for your time, they're paying for your programming, all that kind of stuff. So if the effort's not being put in there, they'll notice, and then, you're just hurting them more so than yourself, of course, because if they don't want to work with you anymore, then you lost them as a client. So definitely think that's, as far as values go, it's, again, we're all human, but make yourself available 100% for, again, when it's their time to have your attention. So, again, like you just got to flip that switch, because that happens to me sometimes. Like something's on my mind, but as soon as I'm with them, it's like, all right, it's their time, so that's, kind of part of my values as well. And I feel like there's one more thing, but I'm going to let someone else jump in, and then I'm sure it'll come back to me. So, yeah.
Tommy, you got anything? Or
I mean, it's that, I'm not gonna lie, those are two really tough, difficult acts to follow. And us honestly all working together, coming up in the same environment, it's tough to actually add anything more into that than just to kind of reiterate. I know that's me not having very many words to say is shocking, but it's true. We pretty much covered a whole lot of it. It's, to summarize, it's a lot of client first, because this isn't like, this isn't our show, it's their show. We're just controlling the curtain and directing. You know what I mean? They're the ones with the spotlight on them. We're the ones that are just kind of like, all right, do this now, then do that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I like the I always use the map quest. Like when clients are like, thank you so much, but I'm like, I'm just doing my job.
Yeah, you're guiding them to effective change. That's what it is.
Yeah,
you're the one guiding them. They're doing all the work. You're at the end of the day, you're just putting your best foot forward and giving back what you learned over the years, and what you see as value again. And then like I said, they'll be able to take the values that you have, and assuming that you coach them correctly, then they'll be able to utilize them for themselves. But it all starts with them. You know what I mean? Like you're the one coaching them, yes, but it starts with them as far as to make the change. But you're just in the passenger seat, guiding them through those changes.
Yeah, exactly. I like the metaphor where like they're like, oh, thank you. I'm like, I'm not driving the car. You are. I'm just I'm just in the passenger seat with the roadmap.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You're just doing what I tell you.
Totally. No, I agree. DeMarco, have anything to add to that?
Man, I gotta agree with what Tommy said. You guys definitely knocked it out of the park. I'm gonna go for the low hanging fruit first, just because it's easy. Sean mentioned earlier, kind of being your own guinea pig first and experimenting and not coaching a movement that you don't really understand. I totally on board with that. I'm not gonna program something for a client that I wouldn't be willing to do myself. Again, folks, of course, we're controlling for goals and whatnot. But that being said, you need to know what the hell you're doing. Don't just plug and play exercises and just be willy-nilly about it. So I think that's really important. I guess for me, one thing that really accelerated my development as a coach and as just as a human being in general was honestly, part of it was networking with you fine gentlemen. This podcast, bouncing ideas around, learning from each other. But also, really, what started all this was our environment in the gym together. When we were at the corporate gym together, we had our little squad, swinging our kettlebells, doing our deadlifts, and it started off as having fun, shooting the shit. But we, shared stories, we coached each other, taught each other. I did some sessions with both Sean and Tommy, and we taught each other things, which was fun. And I think seeking a mentor, it doesn't have to be an official mentor, like, awkwardly like, hey, will you be my mentor? You'd be surprised how when you get around the right kind of people, you'll learn and you guys can teach each other. I've learned a bunch from Sean, a bunch from Tommy, a bunch from Eric, obviously Mike Conway, who I feel like we mention every episode as well. He's a wealth of knowledge and wisdom. He's basically this like low key jacked Yoda, wicked chill, stoic as hell, but really smart and obviously a great teacher and coach. So I would say definitely, reach out. Don't be afraid to ask for help, and an extra pair of eyes will only be more beneficial as long as it's the right kind of person. Obviously, that's leading with empathy, as Zach Henderson always says.
Yeah, I think DeMarco is great. You said that because I think finding the right people is number one and building the culture, and sometimes you might not know right away who that or what that culture is. But you got to find like-minded people, kind of like we have now, and be able to bounce ideas off each other and continue to grow. And in the process, the journey never stops. We're a student. We're always a student of the game. We're continuing to learn and putting our best foot forward. And even now on this podcast, I feel like we're still telling, in our heads, we're probably like, hey, there's still a lot we have to learn. And, some of the ones before us, they're still learning. So we got to keep, driving that home. And, a lot of my clients, it's funny because a lot of my clients, they want to know all the answers right away. And damn, like we don't know all the answers, it's like damn, I wish I could give you the answers, and I think, like I said, building the culture and having like-minded people, and kind of showcasing that we can have their backs, like as far as our clients and things like that, knowing, okay, like we're putting our best foot forward to learn more and be able to be leaders in our industry. Like kind of going back to our voices as a coach, we're trying to lead and build our platform to create more education. I mean, that's part of this voice as a coach. So I think that once you get to that point, like I said, it doesn't stop you. You continue to learn and make adjustments along the way. So
somewhere in there sparked, again, one of the things I wanted to mention earlier. And I do want to say this because I feel like it may spark like not a debate, but like of us four, I'm sure we do it a little bit differently. And I kind of wanted to have both sides of that kind of mentioned. So as far as the value goes of mine, I think is accessibility. And obviously that's the case with anybody. Like, but what I mean on a deeper level is like, maybe I just don't have the attention span for it, but also I'm sure we've all been to the point where like we may program like a month out in advance for somebody, 2 months, whatever. And then like something happens where they either fall off or they just, they get hurt and just like what you wrote is just completely scrapped. And it happens. That's fine.
Yep.
But like, for me, I'm more of like a, week to week person because like, I text to Marco all the time and like, hey, working out tomorrow or later today, whatever it may be. I try to do it a day in advance, obviously, just so we have enough time to, for me to give him the workout and then answer questions, that kind of thing. So like, that's how I do it. I prefer to like, again, program week to week, just because again, things happen, the vacation may pop up. The week may get away from them because of a lot of work or whatever, or what have you, or maybe they're just being lazy, it is what it is. So like, I kind of, I used to hate programming too far out and then not having to do it at all. It's just because that's time we put into it. You know what I mean? So, I'm sure there'll come a time where once my clients start to rise a little bit in terms of how many I have, where I may not be able to do that as much because there's just not enough time in the day. So I may have to set aside like a couple hours on a Sunday and do, a couple weeks in advance. But I know where the workout's going anyway. So I guess basically, again, the value that I'm talking about is accessibility. But I want to throw it out there to kind of see how you guys feel on that as far as, do you like to do it like week to week or maybe even day to day sometimes, or for you and your client, will you give them a couple weeks at a time, a couple months at a time?
What's funny, I originally, when you and I first started working together and you did the day to day, it bugged the living shit out of me because I was like, dude, what the hell am I doing tomorrow? I want to know what I'm doing.
Right, and I get that. Yeah,
but you were always on top of it. I never showed up and didn't know what I was going to do. So It wasn't a problem of service. But now, ironically, now that life is more hectic, I've got a beautiful baby girl that I'm currently holding, and life's a little different now. I'm stay-at-home dad. Now I love the day-to-day because we get to text and you're like, hey man, how are you feeling? How'd you sleep? How's everything going?
Right.
And that's so it's much more relatable, and I think it's much more realistic for my current situation in life where sleep's a little less predictable, recovery, nutrition, that kind of stuff. So
Right.
I initially definitely was like, that's not how I like to do it. So I usually program out like, a couple weeks or maybe even a month in advance.
Mhm.
But I like that system for certain clients that have more, I would say less predictable schedules. So definitely.
Good points from DeMarco and Sean. I think for me, I try to do 4-week blocks. So I try to do it within month increments, but it really, again, it depends on the clients, because some clients are kind of scatterbrainedish, kind of ADD, where they like following your program, but then they get off one day. They're just they didn't sleep well or whatever. And they want to do something different from what you had planned or whatever, but you want to stick to some formula, I guess, and you may need to modify. So I think adaptability would be my answer to all this, as far as like, as a coach, the value of a coach, being able to on the fly be like, okay, like, you're not feeling it today. I know you had, squats and this and this, but let's do this instead, or whatever it is. Maybe do a mobility day, or maybe do just I don't know, like a little recovery circuit, or whatever whatever you have kind of in your I don't want to say canned workouts, but whatever you have maybe in your system, where it's like, okay, like here's based on a previous training day or whatever. Maybe you didn't sleep well, or maybe just you're feeling a lot of inflammation or whatever. You can on the fly update. Okay, do this instead.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's where the not expertise, but like our experience comes in. Because like we have this is where, like, when you're an expert, you're a master of the fundamentals. If we have a plan, we have coming up, but of course life happens just like the human body. Programming is going to have to be fluid as well. So if you have to change in a moment, be able to kind of think on your feet like that, because someone didn't sleep well, someone's sick, or they just have a lot of volume or stress in their lives, being able to then adjust and understand the basics of the human body. Like, their nervous system's kind of gassed right now. All right, let's do something that's going to supplement their nervous system to try to get them through the day and sleep better tonight, rather than stick to the plan, stick to it. This is what this says.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely great points. I think in the beginning, and again, I think my first year as a coach, I did that way more. I was like, I got to stick to the plan. I can't change this. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I get like upset. You can't. It's not realistic, unless you, even as an athlete, like the athletes, like they should be definitely more sticking to protocol. It's more specific. There's more specificity. I would say they're the 10 percentiles or whatever. I mean, there's such a low percent of what we actually train. You know what I mean? We're not training those type of people typically, at least that I know of. So.
Oh, absolutely, man. And I think that's something that I'm going to say this about myself. This isn't, I'm saying about anybody else. I'm just your average dude. I'm a stay-at-home dad. I like to work out. I'm not a super athlete. I'm not competing for the Olympics or anything. For lack of a better way of saying, I'm not special. I'm just a normal guy. And I have life stuff that happens just like everyone else. So, if I deviate from my program, I'm not going to lose a sponsorship or an endorsement as a result of it. I'll be fine.
I know we'll touch into it on a programming series, but wouldn't you guys agree? Squat, hinge, push pull, like vertical, horizontal push pulls, some core movements. Maybe a little bit of conditioning, and obviously be able to different systems. If you're doing that weekly, like, they're going to make change, assuming that they're eating like an asshole all the time, and they're continuing to make updates, right? So there's no such thing as like a fat loss program if you're not actually eating well. So you have to eat well first. Caloric deficit, number one. I love one of my colleagues was just messaging me a minute ago. He was saying how like Jordan Syatt, he just posted something yesterday. He had a podcast yesterday talking about like looking good naked and like what it takes to get to that. And honestly, I haven't listened to it yet. I'm going to listen to it on my way to the gym today. But I would assume it's going to be things that we're kind of talking about, just not being an asshole when you eat. Make sure that you make good lifestyle habits. Make sure you're consistent. You know what I mean? It doesn't come down to just like, hey, if I follow this magic program, all of a sudden I'm going to lose fat. Like, no, there's other things that are involved, that make a difference. So,
right. Yeah. I say it to a lot of clients when they're like, oh, I have to go to the gym for this. I'm like, you don't get results in the gym. This is where results are initiated. And if you want whatever result you get is from your behavior outside of the building.
I like what you said there. The goals are initiated. Like you started off. That's exactly what it is. Like by training, you'll sculpt your body, assuming that you're doing well outside of the gym. Like you could sculpt your body in the gym, assuming you're making the right choices outside of the gym. So it is a direct effect. You can't have one without the other. But if you're training well and eating like shit, then that's not going to do anything. But the opposite end, if you're eating well and not training, you won't necessarily sculpt your body the way you want either. So there's that.
Yeah. But you'll be healthier. So
much be healthier. Yeah, I guess that's I would say too. It's dependent on the person. I think some people are. I don't know if you guys have this, but there's some clients who are they'll adhere to things. Like they're all about like they'll follow a script. But when it comes to nutrition, like that's where their weak points are. But I'd say that's most people. I think most people know how to train themselves, but meaning that they'll train, but their others like their lifestyle stuff is a lot harder for them.
Yeah, and I think that's where again I think you mentioned adaptability, Eric. Obviously stay in your lane with scope of practice. We're all certified trainers, so we can coach strength, right? We can coach people on squatting, hinging, and pressing and pulling and all that fun stuff. But if you don't have a nutrition certification, obviously you have to be careful with that. But that being said, a little bit of common sense advice. Tommy, you have the PN level 1, right?
I do.
Yeah. So Tommy,
same here.
Oh yeah, you are too.
Hey.
Yeah.
So, but at the end of the day, we again, Tommy and Eric can talk about this even more than I can. Unless you're talking about, again, special population, very specific cases, common sense nutritional advice works for probably 99% of the population.
Low hanging
eat good
fruit.
Protein, get your complex carbs in, eat freaking veggies, just walk, drink water, and lift heavy shit.
Good old kiss.
Now. Honestly, you would think those things are obvious, but they're not for everybody. Or their busy lives and schedules, they just eat on the go. And they're like, they're trying to make quote unquote the best decisions, but they may not necessarily know what the best decisions are. So if you can at least, again, kind of the whole guiding principle, being able to guide them to effective change, if you can give them behavioral goals to work on each week, like we've talked about in previous episodes, and being able to consistently hammer those away, like the water, the sleep, whether it's, certain sort of lifestyle habits that they're working on. But I usually give them like a guide. I'll give them here's some fat loss tips, take a look at these. And then a lot of times I want to schedule things for them. Like you want to sort of dig deep. I think another thing as a value as a coach is being able to dig deeper and find the root cause of why they're not where they want to be, but kind of that's what it is. You want to know what's holding them back. So you can look through their schedule and be like, oh, like you're missing lunch. Okay. Like that's pivotal. Like let's get lunch in or whatever, or you're not eating for 15 hours. Okay. Let's find a meal at this point of the day. Oh, you're not getting enough protein in. Okay. Oh, you're only training once a week. You know what I mean? Then you can start to fill in the gaps. And then all of a sudden weeks later, they're like, oh shit, I'm making progress now. So it's all about building adherence. It's like a ladder of building adherence. It starts with like motivation, and then all of a sudden it's discipline, and then all of a sudden it's a habit. So,
yeah, no, absolutely, man. And it's so funny how, again, using myself as an example, I've been a coach for 7 years, and I feel like I know a thing or two. Definitely not 3 things, but I definitely know a thing or two.
No, let's not.
I have a coach for that very reason. You know, there are things that are obvious to the outsider looking in at someone. Like if someone's looking, like when Sean looks at my program and my daily schedule, that's a little, obviously, like I said, unpredictable. You know, he makes those game time adjustments and says, hey, you know, let's drop the volume on this today since something's hurting, or you didn't sleep super well. Let's drop the volume, you know, increase rest periods or whatever. Or flip side, you're feeling good today. You ate a lot. You know, you drank your water. You got your Wheaties in. You're feeling sexy and strong. Let's up the volume a little bit and have some fun. So a coach will always see what you don't see. You know, in so many senses of that expression, I guess you could say. Like they're obviously watching your movements, they're coaching you, they're cueing you, helping you, you know, move more optimally and better. But, you know, a really good coach will benefit your life in so many other ways. In just like you were mentioning earlier, Eric, outside of the gym, because that time in the gym is very, very minuscule compared to the time outside of the gym. Like, is it like 4% of the day, or 1% of the day, or whatever is the gym?
I mean, I think that goes with sacrifice, right? So I feel like you have to be able to sacrifice maybe some things bad habits that you had before for good habits. You got to be able to substitute. It's addition by subtraction. So if there's something that you're currently lacking in, whatever it is, whatever bucket you want to call it, whether it's the nutrition, training, lifestyle, whatever, you may have to make updates on that. I know it's hard for some people too, especially when they're stuck in their ways, they're stuck with what they're doing. Us as a coach, one of our values as a coach, again, is being able to educate and hammer these points away, because eventually that should lead to change, assuming that they're trusting you. If they have trust in you, then that you would think they're paying you for a reason. So, you know, if they're, and again, that goes with any profession, right? So like a boss or a manager, like if you trust them, you're gonna probably want to make some changes, or I say probably potentially make some changes, assuming there's some things you need to work out. So that's where I'm at with that.
Yeah, like I think that's why, that's kind of why I'm not acting like I'm the only trainer in the world to conduct his business the way he does. But like DeMarco was saying, like as far as like checking in, like if I give them 4 weeks at a time, which again, it's not a bad thing to do, because you're going to check in with them anyways. It's like, you know, it's not like, hey, here's the program for the month, I'll talk to you next month. You know, it's not like that. So I figure like when I check in, like either the morning of, if they tell me they're going to work out like 6 p.m. that night, that kind of thing, or the day before, whatever. Like, you know, we're just answering questions that they may have. So like they have the whole workout for the week. It's just like next week's numbers that week's numbers may not be in there just yet, because that day is like a couple days away, whatever. So, and then to go off of that, I forget who exactly said it, but like the time that you're working out, let's just call it strength training, and obviously there's cardio mixed in there too, but let's just say you're working out 3 to 5 hours a week, and you know there's 168 hours in the week. So you know, arguably the stuff you do outside of those 3 to 5 hours, so 160 plus hours, is arguably more important than what you do in those 3 to 5 hours. So like talking to your clients and letting them know that is important, because no one thinks of it that way, really. It's like, all right, if fat loss is your goal, and you know you're not really seeing the results within those 3 to 5 hours of exercise that you do, intentional exercise anyways, then it's like they wonder why. And it's like, all right, well, let's talk about all those other hours, those other 160 plus whatever. You know, factor out sleep, of course, so that's less than that, but still it's like the walking, the taking the stairs instead of the elevator, that kind of stuff. So like being their guiding hand, but not like forcing it down their throat, because I'll reach out to a client, like I said, to set up the workout and just check in and see how they're doing. But I don't text them afterwards and be like, hey, did you do it? You better have done it. That kind of thing. It's like the next time we talk is usually about the next workout. So it's kind of on them a little bit once I give it to them, of course. But it's like I said, it's like giving them ideas and letting them know that outside of those 3 to 5 hours of what you give them to do, they have to be kind of mindful in doing other things as well. Like the neat stuff, non-exercise activity, thermogenesis. Like I feel like we've said that before many times. So it's like just giving them those bits of advice other than just like stopping your services at those 3 to 5 hours of working out. So
yeah, exactly. I think you give them all the tools to succeed and let them make the decision on their own. But a lot of times what ends up happening again is like you had said, you're not going to hammer it down their throat being like, oh, you didn't do this. Like what the hell? Like you're not going to get mad at them. You're just going to continue to just hammer things away. And eventually a lot of times that'll force change, force adaptation, because they're going to be like, okay, like I trust what he's saying. Clearly it works. And, over time they'll want to make the change. I think in the beginning, it's what stage, what is it, stage of change that you're in? I'm forgetting now. It's been a while since I've done this stuff as far as reading books like that. But there was a book about like stage of readiness or something like that, stage of readiness. And I think sometimes people.
Yeah, this is vaguely familiar to me. Yeah. Like contemplate phase, you're contemplating it and then you work up to actual action.
Yeah. So I think a lot of times people aren't necessarily in that phase yet, and that's okay. Like, and our goal is to eventually get them towards that phase. So I think to hammer even Sean's point, it's just, you're going to be sort of kind of on them, but you're not going to be like breathing all over them and texting them every hour, being like, "Did you do it? Did you do it?" Yeah. You're just informing them. You're just, again, your guidance for them, and you're giving them basic knowledge over time that's going to hopefully compound to making effective change in their lives. And so I would say that's the big thing.
Wait, so Sean, I'm the only client that you send the threatening messages to? I thought that was everyone. You're not it's only me that you send, "You better effing do this workout or I'm going to show up at your door and smash you."
Yeah, but I mean, you play the client, so I know that's what motivates you. So everyone's different, right?
Yeah, because you texted me and said, "If you don't do this workout, I'm going to show up with a hockey mask and a machete at your front door."
Well, each workout.
Joke's on you, though. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So I didn't do my workout.
I'd run a lot faster, that's for sure.
Through your window, so.
Don't you guys think too that if you sort of in the beginning, like when you set that expectation with a new client or whoever you're working with, you would sort of already right away be like, okay, you set the ground rules and be like, okay, we're setting ourselves up for something bigger than this. So like you may see it as just a bunch of workouts in their head in the beginning, because they're still learning what it's all about. But once you inform them and educate them, it's a program. You're going to go through these type of phases. Here's our path. Here's what's going to happen. Here's some behavioral changes that over time will compound to way more. So I think if you can educate them, like I said in the beginning, then they can't come back to you and be like, "Oh, like, why didn't I lose these 10 pounds?" Or, you know what I mean? Because then it's like, okay, well, did you do these things? So I think, again, just reiterating that over and over again does have value, assuming that you're not hammering it to the point of like they don't want to work with you anymore. So you got to be careful there. But
yeah, that's one thing I've definitely worked on doing, Eric, particularly these last couple of years, and echoing sentiments that were spoken or written, I should say, in Brendan Rarick's book, Coaching Rules. You guys need to read that book. It's really good, by the way. Very good. Hopefully we'll have him on the show in the future. But
I think we can get him on.
Yeah, but he was talking about, there should be a why behind every single movement, right? We should program an exercise for a purpose, right, Sean? Yeah. So there should be nice. That's what you did there. So with all jokes aside, there should be a why behind every movement. If you can't explain that why, then what is it doing there? You shouldn't just have filler movements, right? There should be a reason. One thing I've worked on, and I picked this up from, probably all of you guys at some point, is whenever we do a movement, particularly something that's new and challenging and maybe a little bit more technically challenging, and it can be, I see the client maybe getting a little frustrated, I remind them what we're here for and why that movement is going to help them reach that goal, whatever the goal is, doing, we'll say, reverse lunges or step ups. Like we're working on, unilateral lower body strength. That's going to help improve balance, improve strength, coordination. And you want to go, I have a client of mine who's training for a marathon. So building that kind of strength and resilience in the, obviously legs, knees, hips, ankles, and everything is going to help them perform that task and make them stronger, which is going to, obviously make them a stronger, less injury prone runner. So that's one thing I try to do, is relate it back to the goal. Not, hey, all right, let's just do this movement and have some fun and feel the burn, which when I first started coaching, that's exactly what I did. They're like, oh, these are hard. Let's do these, I saw this go online.
Yeah.
Let's do this exercise, and have certainly learned from my ways since then. But I think always bring it back to the goal. Just like Dan John says, keep the goal the goal.
Yeah, no, that's great points. And I think Brendan Rarick, he's echoed it even just when I was at Mike Boyle's. And once you can realize that it's keeping the goal and keeps training simple, the more you can simplify. And this kind of goes into this, like keeping things simple is so key too. I think the more you complicate the things, like people are just going to be, you're going to be over their head and they're going to be like, okay, well, I'm just not going to do it. So you have to kind of, I hate to use the word, lack of better words, dumb things down for some people, just so they're aware of, okay, here's what I want, and start simple. And then you could always progress from there. So I think there's a lot to be said about that. So, and that's one thing that I wish I did in the beginning. I think I used to try to like compound a bunch of programs together. It's like, what am I doing? Just do what the goal is. So
yeah, simple is always best. Like it's been shown that just 4 to 6 exercises is really all that's needed for a training day, and that like in order to get things going. Because I can't remember if we've actually said it earlier or not in this, at least in this episode, is that like we're not training athletes. I mean, everyone's an athlete to some degree, but I mean, like, no one's going out at competition. We're just they're going home and grabbing groceries or picking up their kids, and that as long as someone can be able to throw socks in the dryer without throwing their back out, that's really all we're doing.
Yeah, it goes back to, okay, who's in front of you, and it's 80, and I would say even probably closer to 90% of those people are what you just said. There's everyday people. They're not competing in high level sports.
Yeah, and therefore simple is better. I love the term KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. And it always works. It is always working out for the best, because why complicate something? Because human movement is not all that complicated if you just look at the movement patterns. If you get into the science, like if you want to complicate it, be like, the ATP and the process. Just no one cares. No one network training cares about that.
No, I mean, Tommy, to add to your point, I think even keeping it simple for athletes, I mean, as far as from a training principle standpoint, but I also think that requires a little bit more specificity. That'd really be the biggest difference. But the average person who doing a training program, if they want to do like an athlete-based program where they're adding all these things in, they probably don't need to do that. But at the same time, I think it depends on the person. If it aligns with their goals, I guess. But if you're gonna compete in intramurals or whatever, I guess, and you want to get better at your performance of your sports, I mean, I guess that's what you want. So
yeah, that's why I start using kettlebells.
But even then, like, I'm right. I even still think, even with a general pop client, like you're still kind of treating them like athletes. You're doing a lot of similar movements, right? Yeah, it still doesn't change.
Yeah, everybody's an athlete.
Yeah, you're not your formula stays the same. I think maybe that goes into this too, is with recipes and being able to stick to a formula. No matter who you're working with, you may just have to have more specificity with certain people. But again, that's like the 1%ers, or I say 10%ers or whatever. So it's a low percent.
Yeah, my method of strength training, it's honest, and to stick with the simple thing, we're all any average built human being that has all like function. What's the word I'm looking for? Anyone that just moves, able-bodied. Thank you. Any able-bodied individual needs to be better at pushing, pulling, squatting, hinging, and lunging. Those are just our average. Those are basic human movement patterns. And if you just load that pattern to the point where it struggles a bit to maintain that form, then you continuously train that way, you're going to get stronger. That's all life is. All life is just trying to knock you over, and you just have to make sure you maintain position.
Yeah, keep forcing new adaptation, right? That's the big thing. Force new adaptation, and over time, it compounds to building muscle, helps with fat loss, helps build your metabolism.
And I love that you guys said it that way, because to be honest, like it's a more sciencey answer than probably most people are looking for. But
we're keeping it simple, Sean. I'm kidding.
Well, no, stupid.
I'm kidding.
No,
I'm kidding.
I just said that what you said was like just the right amount of science. Because when clients come at you and be like, oh, how come this is like the third week doing like this same exact exercise or what have you? It's like, all right, well, then you explain to them like, we're looking for adaptations here, so it's not like
stick to an adaptation.
Exactly, but there's variety in there, like sets and reps and stuff. Those are changing. Have to, but like exercise 1 through 6 or whatever you're doing, when you explain exactly what you guys just said to them as far as why you're doing it that way, it makes them like that's really as deep into the science as you have to get with it.
Totally.
To explain to them why you're doing it, So that's I just wanted to tip my cap to what you guys said on that.
Yeah, and again, the setting when you set an expectation as a coach, if you set an expectation from the get-go, this is what it kind of looks like. Give them it's almost like you're a car salesman. Okay, here's what it's all going to look like. Here's what it all entails. Then they're like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? So then that way they're aware you're on the same page. I think, in the beginning, I would all the time, like my first really probably year or two, it's like, here, let's do this workout. It's like, you're not really explaining it right away clearly, and they might not even know why they're doing it. So I think that would be something that I would give for advice, is just kind of make sure you know your why and have an elevator pitch for why you're doing what you're doing. And then they'll at least have an idea. At least they'll be on a similar page, if you're not, assuming you're not too sciencey with your approach to it. And then they'll at least understand, and you can continue to develop and build off of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and at the end of the day, and I am a coach, and even I'm like this when Sean and I train. I just want to work out, man. Let's swing, get up, do our thing, squat, hinge, push, pull, all that fun stuff. And sometimes I like to hear the scientific answer, but even me, 99% of the time, I just let's get after it, man. Let's play the music, let's have some fun, do some fist bumping, and move some freaking weights and have fun. So I think most clients probably don't really care what your certification is or what your scientific knowledge is. Like I will intentionally use that self-deprecating humor and have fun with it. And I'll say, this is the flux capacitor squat variation, or just something corny, like just have fun, because it's we're certified nice people, right? That's what I think Tony Gentilcore has said that, and maybe Mike Boyle.
Yeah, Mike Boyle said it too. Yeah.
And so they don't really care. I mean, I remember when I first started coaching, and I would that would be my elevator pitch. I'm like, hey, I'm a certified personal trainer with American College Sports Medicine, and I've taken some college courses in anatomy, so like, want to train?
Yeah.
They don't give a shit about that, dude.
No,
they want.
It's just a bunch of letters to them.
They don't care, dude.
Right.
I have PT and my.
You know what's funny?
They don't care about that.
I mentioned Jimmy like every episode, but Jimmy would always tell me that right away, like what his certs were. Like, hey, I'm Jimmy. Yeah. I'm a national strength conditioning, whatever, strength conditioning specialist, blah, 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 blah. He's like, that'll be 150. Like, you like tell me like how much like I owe. I'm like, dude, what?
That's just him messing with you, but yeah.
No. Jimmy's awesome. I want him on an episode. I don't think he'll ever appear, but it'd be great to get him on.
No, but on the subject of Jimmy, just because not to get too off topic here, but this just popped in my head right before you said his name, so I figured, all right, might as well mention it. Going off of DeMarco's point of like being certified nice people or whatever, you don't have to like bog them down with like the sciencey stuff just to be like, oh, this guy's working smart, I want to keep working with him. Like, you don't need to do that. You need to, or at least should want to, try to be the best hour of their day. Especially if they're coming off of like a typical 9 to 5 work day, and it's like they had a tough day, they just want to get in, work out, converse a little bit with you, just kind of loosen them up a little bit. And Jimmy's the one that I think had said that to DeMarco one time. It's like, you wouldn't really expect this out of Jimmy's mouth, I think, but he said that's his goal, to be his clients, like basically best out.
Yeah. He said, he said, look, man, a lot of times life sucks. He said, you got financial problems, you got family issues, stuff going on in life. You got, work sucks, and work sucks. I know. Sorry,
I was just thinking that too.
I knew we were on the same page there, Tommy. But he said, with all that, factoring all that in, let's make it a fun. Let's have fun and work hard, obviously. But let's leave them smiling and hopefully feeling as if they gained something. First beating them up and taking them to the woodshed with a sledgehammer and having them crawl out of there. Which, again, some people like that. Some people pay a lot of money for that. And but definitely just obviously.
That's just like I said earlier, like leave your shit at the door at the beginning of the hour, because again, you need to be attentive for them. And you want to make it so that they leave their shit at the door as well, like in terms of like what may be on their mind bothering them prior. Exactly. Like try to
I'm going to counter. Funny enough,
we're part-time therapists.
I'm going to slightly counter what you said, Sean, but the big caveat here is it depends, because now when I go see my clients, particularly my in-person clients, we run through the typical, the warm up, movement prep, we do all that fun stuff, mobility and train and I play my playlist, and we do the fist bumping, but they want to know how life is. I just moved. I got a baby. They want to know what's going on. So ask, don't be afraid to be a person, right? Don't have to be a robot. How's Vivi? Like, how's Vivi doing? Is she grasping for things? Yeah. We talk about like, show me some pictures. Now I'm the guy with dog pictures and baby pictures, you know?
Right. Well, I don't mean don't be a human, obviously. Like, you should converse, because like Tommy just said, like, we're part-time therapists. Like, when I say leave your shit at the door, it's like if something's like occupying your thoughts and you can't you like miscount a rep or that kind of thing, you're just like, you're looking at them but you're not really looking at them, you know what I mean? Like, stuff that's, I don't know, like if you popped your tire earlier, that kind of thing. But no, like if you're conversing and like you haven't seen each other in a couple of weeks because of XYZ, like, yeah, you should catch up a little bit. Absolutely.
Yeah. There's I think the developing and building relationships is, I'm surprised that wasn't said at the beginning. Exactly what you both guys, all you guys nailed that. I think that's number one, especially because it showcases your authenticity too, of, you know, you're unique and you know, if you're just a robot and you're just telling them what to do, then they could, you know, pay somebody online to do that, some random bot trainer, you know what I mean? Like, be someone who has a emotion, and you know, you want to learn about them. So if the more you can do that and converse and build that relationship with them, the more they'll probably stick with you, and retention will be way higher.
Definitely. I'll tell you guys a really funny story about a coach that I've been following just about since the beginning of my career. I hope you guys have heard of him, Joe DeFranco. So really, really awesome strength coach. He started off doing NFL combine training for obviously football players, and has, you know, done a lot of really cool stuff in the industry. But he currently, he's been training Stephanie McMahon and Triple H for the last 3 or 4 years. Actually, so he lives in New Jersey, and he drives to Connecticut where they live. He drives there a couple times a week, and they train at midnight. That's the time that they can do. I'm sure they're paying him a crazy, there's no telling. I'm sure it's good.
Yeah, I don't know if I would do that. That's ridiculous.
Either. I don't either. But check this out. So they do these like midnight workouts, and it's cool. It's actually, the videos are pretty sick. But anyways, when his girlfriend at the time was pregnant, he was definitely like a little, obviously thinking about that, but he was like fully locked into his coaching, and he was coaching them. And so Steph asked him during the session, "Hey, how's your wife doing?" And Joe says, "Oh, I'm sure she's fine." He said, she said, has she texted you yet? And he's like, "Oh, I don't know. I left my phone in the car. I was leaving the car." And she said, "You better go get your mother effing phone right now if your wife calls you." She got onto him, was like, "You better have your freaking phone if your wife goes into labor."
Yeah, you need your phone for that.
So dialed in with coaching that
it's almost a little too committed, but I like it.
Yeah, I don't think that's so much more of a focused in on a coaching thing, maybe more of a personality thing. Because like, no, I forget my wife. That's probably, come on, man. But I do understand the point of the story. Yeah. Like, just let your like, the clients shouldn't have their phone either. Like, they're sitting there texting and be like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
we wouldn't want that. So why would they?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So
now I know we're not like, we're sort of about to wrap up, I guess, but like, I want to bring this back to Tommy. Do you have a dad joke yet?
Oh, right.
What's brown and sticky?
I know this one.
A brown stick?
I'll let everybody else. What'd you say?
A brown stick?
Well, or just a stick. Yeah.
Well, yeah, a stick. Yeah, it's a stick.
Oh, a stick.
Oh, stick.
Yeah.
There we go.
Nice.
All right.
What do you want?
I think we should wrap it up with year in review, and then we're doing a multi-part series with this, so I feel like we'll add on for sure.
All right. Do you want me to do my deep dive one first?
Do we have time for a deep dive?
Yeah,
it'll take no time at all. But basically, once I tell you that answer the joke, it's my favorite one, and I'm totally fine if you guys don't get it or like it. It is what it is, but I have to say it. You may not get it right away, is my point. So, all right. What do you call a retired coal miner? Doug.
You're such an idiot.
Do you get it though?
Yeah. I mean,
explain it to me, because not everybody gets it.
They dig?
That's a good one. No, I got
Exactly.
it. He's Doug. It's done. Doug is in the
Yep.
Got it.
Thank you.
Yeah, fine. Fine. I'll have to redeem myself. Why are elevator jokes so good?
They go up and down. I don't know. I have no idea.
You're close. Because it's just because they work on so many levels.
Oh, okay. All right. Same idea.
Yeah, same concept.
All right, so who wants to
we
start
can
this
get
year in review? Who wants to start this pandemic year in review? I feel like Tommy should start it off. It was his idea.
We don't have enough time in the session left for me to be able to start my year in review. It's been,
Like I said, this would be a multi-part series. So even if we just like give the viewers some ideas of what's going to come, I guess
We can kind of foreshadow what we can talk about
Actually,
next week.
yeah, that's an idea.
I like that.
Yeah,
Let's do
we
that.
get a little teaser. Yeah,
Let's just go around then and be like, all right, one thing that I learned. Well, yeah, because we're basically going to talk about it that way. So like, just like a small blurb of like, all right, I learned this because of last year, like, that kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah. So for me, obviously, it was the last year was challenging, just like it was for everybody else. The biggest thing I did was looked inward. I really tried to kind of look inside in myself, and it's going to sound corny, kumbaya shit, but seriously, from a deep kind of philosophical and spiritual level, I really, examined my life and, what my values really are and what actions of mine were lining up with those. And I really dove into Stoicism, studying Stoicism, reading about it, and studying Marcus Aurelius and Seneca and Epictetus and all those powerhouses, and learning, kind of using that to help me navigate the many changes in life. So that's one thing that's definitely, particularly with having a child and moving and a lot of stuff being up in the air, a lot of changes coming. That's been one thing that I've definitely would love to talk about at some point soon. It's definitely Stoicism, philosophy, and trying to keep an open mind and continue to be a student.
Yeah. My basic answer is kind of similar to that. Just, I kind of think for me, it's more like a morning routine and having non-negotiables right away. Like I think I stole this. Matt Ibrahim talks about it. Just having like you do like a morning walk. I think being able to kind of clear your thoughts and I think that has helped me a lot, because when you get up a lot of time, at least for me, I'm not a morning person, so I'm not going to say like I get up and drink coffee and do that kind of stuff. But just having some things right away, like maybe you list them the night before or that day and be like, okay, these are the things I'm going to accomplish to win the day, or help stack wins to improve for future days. And I think that's been key to me, is just like really making more time for myself. I think over the years, even leading up to the pandemic, it was like all about my clients, which again is good, and about other people and putting other people before myself. But that's also an issue too. You gotta make sure that you have time for yourself, and being able to have that time to be able to reflect and stuff like that. So I think that's been key for me, is just having a routine, having things to work on, and daily going through those things and adjusting. So I'd say that's the big things for me. And I'll dive deeper in future episode on like specifics, but that would be the big thing.
Hell yeah, man. Love it. What you got, Sean?
I've learned that I'm very much, kind of like what Eric said, like I'm very much how important routine is. I heard you mentioned routine, so I realized how much that is important to me.
Yeah, carving time a day for yourself. Really, right? So you're saying? Gonna say?
Yeah, and sleep. How important that is. I mean, we always knew it was important, but like how much it actually does play a role.
Yeah, and it's finding what that is. So, some people have different things. I think sleep is a big thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, because you think it's so easy to get the sleep, but it's because everybody knows how to do it. So, but yeah, it's not. It's easier said than done sometimes. So I guess for my thing, and then again, everything we just touched on, we'll just expand on next time for the whole hour or whatever.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
I guess my thing was probably making the best out of like a bad situation, making the most out of having like the bare essentials, the bare minimum, because meaning again, COVID, of course, like when we're reduced in terms of like, clients we can see because on quarantine, lockdown, whatever, and obviously equipment you have, like getting creative with the stuff you do have and like not using your lack of materials, lack of knowledge as an excuse to be complacent, because then you're just going to push yourself further back than where you want to be if you just like be like, oh, I'm just going to wait until things go back to normal for me to get back on track. Like, no, you can. There's still some things you can do. So that's what the last year taught me, is make the most out of what you do have.
Yeah, preparing for the unknown. That's the big thing too. Is always evolve, keep evolving, no matter what. Even in times you're not sure what's going to happen. So,
yeah, I'll give you a quick, one more quick teaser with Stoicism, just because you got me started, and then I'll shut up. the Stoics for centuries, maybe millennia. I'm always bad with numbers, but they've for countless centuries, we'll say, they've talked about the concept of externals. And these are basically circumstances and events, situations that are external to our abilities and our powers and our influence. So the pandemic, the stock market, the weather, many other things. Most of these things we can't really control the outcomes, but we can control how we react to those situations and outcomes. And 9 times out of 10, if we respond accordingly, we can then create obviously better outcomes. So there's definitely a shift, and it's corny to people hear it all the time. It's cliched, but focus on what you truly can control. If you really dive into that concept and really look at it and really go deep into it, you will realize there's very, very, very small amount of things that you actually have control of. So, and you can kind of, at least for me, when I came to that realization, initially there was a feeling of being overwhelmed, but then it was almost a feeling of just kind of letting the water wash over me, if you will, and just saying, in many ways, like Mark Manson says in his book, fuck it. I'm going to focus on what I can control and let the chips fall where they may, as Tyler Durden said in that movie that I'm not going to mention because I don't want to get in trouble for breaking the first rule.
Love it.
Yeah.
No, good foreshadow next episode. So.
And I know you held back. That was only a minute and a half. I know you held back. I'm
working on it. Yeah, I'm excited to have a deep dive into it. So,
yeah, we should have like individual deep dives. Like we have a deep dive into Eric, into Sean, into you, into me. Like each one individual episodes. Like we're each a guest.
I agree. That's what I was saying at the beginning. Is we all should have our own guest appearances and it being us as guests. I like that.
We just set up the next month.
I dig
it. Let's do it.
Sick.
All right, DeMarco, wrap it up.
Yeah, so I'll thank all of you so much for watching, especially those of you that are still here. We love having you here. We've got a fun episodes planned out. Got a couple of guests lined up in the future. But we're definitely going to do some more solo episodes. So comment below. Let us know what you would like us to talk about. If not, we'll just ramble about whatever the hell we feel like talking about and see where things go. So thank you so much. Feel free to hit that thumbs up if you like this content. Subscribe to the channel. And we will see you next time.
Later, boys.
Boom.
Later, guys.
Peace out.